SuperTalk Mississippi media production.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, and callers on this show are not the opinions of TeleSouth Communications, its management, or advertisers.
William Carey University Athletics.
Every sport you find exciting.
Crusader Talk.
Crusader Talk. And now,
This is Crusader Talk. Crusader Talk. We're covering everything William Carey University Athletics. From the field to the court and the diamond on SuperTalk Hattiesburg 97.3 and SuperTalkHattiesburg.com.
And welcome everyone to Crusader Talk. My name is Caleb Hamill, joined by Josh West, Dalton Stanford behind the board, making all things possible for us here on a Monday. And we're glad that you have joined us as our listening audience, live from SuperTalk Hattiesburg's studios on the dial at 97.3 or anywhere you get podcasts on demand just by searching for Crusader Talk. It is Monday as we record August the 3rd, and we are just weeks away, single-digit weeks. Can you believe it? Right, we're on the verge of single-digit days before too long, before season's beginning.
You had to check your watch, though. You can't even remember the date. It goes so fast.
I know, but it is our first episode of August, so things are about as hot as they're going to get, but also the competition's about to heat up as well because we're just cooking. We're getting ready. Training is in full force right now. Are getting set to be in full force. I think they are in full force by this point, but they are just – I do not envy the lads that are out there sweating through their practice kits and everything else right now because it's hot outside. Although today was a little bit more mild, I will give them that. But, man, summer heat is no joke. But Coach Barry Farrell of men's soccer joins us here on today's episode. And, Coach, first of all, was the weather better back home in Ireland when you got to go see everybody?
It was a heat wave again. From same as last year when we went. It was a heat. Well, in Ireland, it's a heat wave, but yeah, it was low 80s, but no humidity. That's a heat wave in Ireland for you.
Was that picture from like your parents' driveway that you sent me?
No, that was a picture from my uncle. My uncle Paul has a beautiful house down in Kinsale, Cork, just on the ocean, and
it's ridiculous.
They've retired, so he's just moved in there. So I was able to jump in off a boat off in the Irish Sea. So
it looks surreal. It didn't even look real.
Yeah, it's
nice.
Pretty nice.
Well, I wish you could have brought some of that quote-unquote heat wave weather down here. I guess it kind of feels like that today. Kind of did for today's episode. But nonetheless, how have things been getting back into the swing of things?
Yeah, we've done early morning sessions, so 7 a.m. sessions to beat the heat, as they say. We've brought a lot of new things to the program this year. We've added Titan GPS, which is the vest. So we've brought that on this year with the boys. We've collaborated with 5-Star Nutrition, Andrew at 5-Star. So they've come on as like our nutritionist, and we've got their product in terms of electrolytes before every training session, protein shakes after every session, just bringing a little bit more professionalism to the program. And the boys have bought into that. So, yeah, a lot of new faces.
That's what I say. I just saw the picture you posted where you had the full team on the pitch taking the annual preseason photo before everybody gets fully sweated down. Their hair is cocked to one side by the end of a match. It was nice clean look for everybody. But the first thing I recognized was that's a lot of faces I've got to learn before the season's beginning.
A lot of faces. We still have 4 new players to come in as well, so they should be all in by this time next week. But yeah, we were able to jump on it early in terms of instead of training, we were able to put a whole week together, and I kind of wanted to get all that out of the way. Media day pictures, Kevin did a great job. Team picture. We were able to meet with Jeff, head athletic trainer, He had a meeting with the boys. Dr. Frank Baugh, sports psychologist, he had an hour meeting with the players. Obviously, we talked about 5-star nutrition. And then we were able to have a group bonding down on the coast and their water park. And it was a busy week, but I really felt the team was coming together. And we named Teddy Miranda as our club captain for the year. So he's done a great job. We unfortunately had an injury to Santiago Molina, which was devastating because it was like a bittersweet week. Went well, but then the injury was like definitely a downpour on that. But it's a strong team, and I feel there's a lot of togetherness this season with the team. Staff have been amazing. I can't thank Guilherme Avila, Neil Kerr, Sean Peoples, and Marcus Mumby coming on as a graduate assistant coach this year, being promoted from a student assistant, with Neil Kerr promoted as from a graduate assistant to full-time assistant. So I finally was able to get my full-time assistant position back after about 4 years now. So really, really happy with our staff as well.
One of the things I wanted to ask when I was here, you talking about the team bonding, team picture, media day. How does Mississippi translate internationally in recruiting? And then how was the wow factor, if you will, when you're showing them the beautiful Mississippi Gulf Coast and taking them down there to the water park and all that kind of stuff? Because there really is so much that the Pine Belt, South Mississippi has to offer.
Yeah, it's beautiful down there. I lived there for 2 years when I came over from Ireland, so I still have a lot of friends down there. So I love going down there, and it just gets the boys out of Hattiesburg a little bit. And we had a great day down there. And like I said, Mississippi is like a hidden gem. There's a lot more to offer, and when you get out of those, when you get out of July, August, September, and then you get into October, the weather's beautiful, but yeah, the boys are not messing around this year. Our goal is to try and win a national championship, and that's always going to be. We failed in previous seasons, but I'm hungry as ever. The staff is hungry as ever. The players are hungry. They all want a national championship. Whether it happens or not, I'm not going to be happy until William Carey men's soccer wins a national championship.
We're talking with Barry Farrell, head men's soccer coach at William Carey here on Crusader Talk. Coach, one of the things that has stood out to me over the summer, things that have kept us in tune with soccer, is one, FIFA World Cup. Hard to ignore that was going on. But also hearing about former players of yours that have signed professional contracts. And let's talk about that just a little bit. Yeah,
this year's been, the NAI men's soccer is extremely high quality, and Andres Kokoska was really the first player, international player that was able to sign with a US-based team up in Charlotte Independence. So that was fantastic for the program. Like you say, you don't have to just play NCAA Division I to go pro. I've got a lot of friends that are assistant coaches in the professional game. We've sent players in spring for trials, and I've had amazing feedback from the coaches. And that can kind of continue. Keevan McConnell was able to sign a professional contract back home. Jamie Wynn was able to sign a professional contract. Brandon Birmingham a few years ago, he's signed a professional contract. Obviously with Kokoska, Michael Conagero still playing professional. And like you said, the coaches are actually reaching out to me now, looking at some of the players for next year. So when we go play some of the games in the Atlanta area, the Lives, the Dalton States, you're going to have eyes on the players.
Now, you mentioned two teams in the conference, and that kind of takes me one direction that I was planning on going with you today. And this may have to bleed over into our next segment, but conference is going to look a little different this year with some additions to the league. How does that affect you? I know the top of the league is probably about the same, but as things kind of get wider, things look perhaps a little bit different. And I'll add the caveat, I know a lot of the changes are including now women's teams more than the men, but nevertheless, changes in the SSAC.
Changes. I still think when you look back, the men's side of the bracket, compared to the women's, it's like night and day in terms of the strength. Life obviously are going to be extremely strong. William Carey, I feel, both teams have probably improved from last year. Mobile have now got their head coach back from 2 years ago. So, they're not going to be the same team that just lost 10 games. Blue Mountain have improved. UT Southern have improved. Faulkner are going to be very strong. Xavier joins the conference. Faulkner, Xavier, William Carey, Life, they all made the national championship last year. The Nationals. And then smaller teams like Bruton Parker, they've got a new head coach that very, very good head coach was at Missouri Baptist, has experience getting teams to the national championships, and he's the head coach of the men and women. That program will definitely see improvement. But yeah, the men's side is I think it's gonna be right up there between one or two of the strongest conferences in NAI men's soccer.
It was a race to the finish line for the SSAC regular season last year. I would not doubt it if we have a similar race coming up here in 2026. We're talking with Barry Farrell on today's episode, previewing all things men's soccer for the upcoming season. Stick around, because we've got a lot to get to. We're going to talk some personnel. What's gone out the door? Who's coming in the door? What position groups are the ones to be talking about? All that and more coming up as we continue the conversation about men's soccer here on a Monday here on Crusader Talk.
Betting or anything like that, but
Talking everything William Carey University athletics. This is Crusader Talk on SuperTalk Hattiesburg 97.3 and SuperTalkHattiesburg.com.
Back with the man, the myth, the legend, Barry Farrell, friend of the pod. Probably our favorite recurring guest here on today's episode.
Agreed.
Yes. He's honestly, I think by this point he's been in more episodes than Ben Milam. Maybe not that many. It's been a lot though.
We said co-host. You could put the co-host title.
That's right.
On Coach Fair.
What is it? He's my second.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right. Coming back into the fold, talking about the upcoming season for men's soccer, and one of the things we always talk about coming into a season is who's out, who's in, what are the things to look for. And obviously, you lose a lot of talents from last year, guys that were household names by the end of the season a year ago. And you have some of these pieces coming back, people that we're going to recognize, but a lot of different guys that we're going to have to learn, just like we do every year. So let's start, first of all, with what are the biggest names that are not back due to graduation or whatever have you, that are kind of leaving some holes for Carey to have filled?
Yeah, Jamie Barry, first team All-American goalkeeper, and again he's another player that just signed a professional contract. Actually, we haven't announced it yet, but in the next couple of days you'll see something on social media. So he had an amazing season. So obviously he moved on after graduation. Lewis Green, one of our captains, Rico Duggan, Mark Guerrero, they were kind of our three kind of captains for last year. But we were the most important thing for me is all the, some of the top players we were able to keep, and don't get me wrong, NCAA teams were all over them, but the nucleus of those quality, the Joshua Salises, the Danny Millardos, the Pedro Santiagos, the Niall Lovelocks, we were able to bring, and they're all first team all conference players, so we're able to keep those players on board and then build on that, which was so important.
So as far as newcomers, I know we still have some players left to get to campus for the upcoming season, but what are some of the biggest additions to this team that are going to make an impact?
I think straight away on the goalkeeping core, I think is extremely strong this year.
That's a big hole to fill.
Yeah, big hole to fill. We brought in Iago the Rub, originally from Brazil, and he's 27 years of age. He's a monster in goal. So he's been brilliant in training. Marco Lopez, left wing back, from Lewis and Clark, looks fantastic in training. And then we've brought in a bunch of centre backs this year. We just had one, Diogo Nazareno. Again, his first training session will be tomorrow. Stephen LeBlanc, athleticism. I feel we've brought a little bit more athleticism this year to the program. Some of the players we were able to bring in the spring as well, so you wouldn't have known them from last year. Isaiah Harvey, Miguel Cardona, Piri as well. They're all going to be right up there. Big Joe Wilson at the back. They were 4 players we brought in the spring, and they look like part of the furniture now. And they've only been here 6-7 months. So they've all come in and done really, really well. Fabian Arreo won a national championship last year at Indian Hills. He actually just got his ring today. So he's a Costa Rican national team under 20 player, like amazing player. Every Division 1 program was after him, and because he has some of his buddies here, the Daniel Millardos, he signed for us. We have five Indian Hill players, which is a great connection between Indian Hills and junior college and William Carey, and hopefully that continues as well. But yeah, some quality players. But the most important thing was bringing the nucleus of that 7-8 players back that were starters for us, and I think we're strong in the roster.
Well, I think it has to be one of the biggest parts of this. You mentioned that nucleus, but the fact that your top 3 goal scorers from last year are all back. 32 of the 51 goals were scored by Molina, Molero, and Santiago.
Yeah,
that's huge.
Yeah, that's. Like I said, Molina got that injury, which was unfortunate. But we brought in some other strikers as well that I think will do exceptionally well. But I think we're very strong in midfield. There's a lot of competition for places, and the competition it'll improve each individual because they have that competition. So there's no players that are comfortable. They know if they have an off day, someone else is going to come in and take that position.
Is men's soccer, as I perceive it, it's going to be very regional, if you will. Like, for example, there are schools that we don't know of in a men's hockey, lacrosse, men's lacrosse, things of that nature that may not be at a Division I level that carry a lot of weight. You mentioned NAI men's soccer, William Carey men's soccer carries that type of weight nationally and internationally now, doesn't it?
Correct, yeah. And this is just my opinion in NAI, and I've watched a lot of sports in NAI. Men's soccer is one of the premium sports in NAI sports, NAI athletics. I just look at Mobile, who had a down year last year. The coach is back. Their first preseason game is Clemson away. I mean, a premier team in NCAA Division 1. That's how high. Like when we play these Division 2, Division 1 teams, we're competing, we're beating them. So yeah, and everyone knows that the top. I mean, you look at it last year in NAI men's soccer, an unranked team won the national championship. For the first time since 2017. Grandview won the national championship unranked. There's 35 to 40 teams that are all competing to win the national championship in men's soccer. I don't know how many sports you can say that about, like different sports. Now there is a massive drop off after that 40-50 teams. That's the main difference, I think, between NCAA Division 1 and Division 2. There's just way stronger overall teams in those divisions. But the top tier in NAI men's soccer, it's better than ever.
I know this is forecasting and trying to figure out what things will look like down the road, but as the NCAA is navigating this new rule of you have 5 years to get your playing in, how do you think that may filter down into how the NAIA gets players, and does the quality improve? Does it change at all? What is your outlook on that effect on the NAIA?
Yeah, well, the NAIA will follow suit with NCAA Division 2. That's what they'll do. Probably for that first year, you're still able to get maybe a 25, 24-year-old sophomore, freshman in the NAI, but I think everybody will follow suit, and probably needs to be done for the development of the player in America, rather than going international and getting 26-year-olds, 27. Like, how does USA, win a World Cup or compete at a World Cup? It's got to change something. So yeah, Division 1 will change it, and Division 2 will follow suit with D1, and NAI will follow suit with Division 2. That's kind of how that works in this country.
But the consistency right now and the kind of a wait-and-see approach of the NAIA, with injunctions coming down just this past week by federal judges that could put a lot of players in limbo. How does that benefit the NAIA and William Carey in the short term?
Yeah, there's a rule there, fifth-year players in the NAIA, they're probably going to vote on it in September. So I'm not too sure about right now. I'm just focusing on this year.
Fair enough.
There's teams that are rebuilding and they're looking for next year, and great, but I'm not taking the eye off this year. And honestly, give me a couple of weeks. Let me know the rules when they follow suit. But right now, it's just all aboard for 2026.
Got just about a minute left in this segment, and one of the things that was the focus of our last episode of Crusader Talk was Coach Halford going into the Mississippi Sports Hall of Fame, which, by the way, he's going to have an exhibit with him and some of his artifacts on display for the next year up until the next class gets inducted. So if you're interested, go out there and enjoy some of those different things and enjoy the museum over there in the Jackson area. But your thoughts and appreciation of Coach Halford as he's been inducted.
Yeah, I seen him today in the cafeteria. Just quickly gave him a congratulations. He's been amazing. Like I said, he was one of those. He still is one of those pillars of William Carey as we look back on it. But he's not slowing down. It's one of those. Normally with Hall of Fame or any kind of Hall of Fame, I always feel you have to be finished coaching. He's still going to be rewriting those history books next year and for years to come. You know,
he's not slowing down anytime soon. Not until the good Lord makes him. But really impressive and very happy for Coach for finally getting this recognition. All right, we still have a couple more segments left with Coach Farrell, talking all things men's soccer with William Carey today on this episode of Crusader Talk. Stay with us. We're going to talk things about a grand scheme of soccer in America, kind of as it relates to the FIFA World Cup. I've just got that on the heart right now. I want to talk, how can we improve? That's the thing to be thinking about during this break. So stay with us. We'll be right back.
From the coaches to the student athletes and the fans that cheer them on, you're listening to Crusader Talk on SuperTalk Hattiesburg 97.3 and SuperTalkHattiesburg.com.
All right, back on the show talking about men's soccer. I had a good conversation during the break, just kind of getting ready for this one. But yeah, FIFA World Cup, it's one of my favorite times of year, especially on the men's side. With how competitive the U.S. was this year, I think kind of surprised some people as to how successful they were. Unfortunately for our friends from William Carey and Jack and Tom, their dreams were crushed a little bit more dramatically than the U.S.'s were. But nevertheless, it was a good run. But there were a lot of conversations that were going on between pundits about the future of the U.S. and how far they could actually realistically get in the seasons that are to come with just the current models of how soccer is in America. Has it grown to its peak of what it can be, or is the ceiling higher than we realize? And that's why I've got the expert here to tell us everything that he knew about growing up in Ireland, how soccer exists over there, how can a country become stronger in that, and does America have a chance?
I'm no expert, but I'll give my opinion.
All right, we'll take it.
I feel this year, like with the USA, you gotta look at it. It's in America, which is great. USA were an A team in that group, so they play weaker teams. You know, you get one of your best players getting sent off, and suddenly it's rescinded, and he's able to play in the next game. That's unheard of. But that was just fuel to the fire for Belgium, you know, and they took advantage of that. They used that against the USA and got the victory, and deservedly so. I think a lot of things have got to change, you know, and it has to start with the youth. I keep saying it. I'm not in the club. I'm not in the club youth soccer this year, but the pay to play model. America is probably the only country in the world that uses that model, and you gotta the parents and the kids they gotta have money to play the game. You talked about it. It's a little bit like a membership, a golf membership, where to play the game, golf is expensive. You know, the equipment. It's the same. It's the same with soccer in this country, but in every other country, it's not expensive to play. So I feel kids are missing out on playing the game. And when we talked about it, I remember growing up in Ireland, my dad coached me, you know, and one of my teammates, his dad was an assistant, and that's how it went. And we fundraised for the jerseys. I think we threw a couple of Irish pounds in for the referees. That's how the game was, and it's so it's expensive in the state of Mississippi to play. Uniforms and fees, coaches' fees, and the country's so big, the travel comes into be super expensive. But you can only imagine in different states, California, Florida, how expensive. I mean, it runs into $9,000-$10,000 to just play the game, and until that changes, it's always going to be a problem.
There was a and might still be going on. It might be wrapping up as we speak. There's a prestigious baseball tournament here in the Pine Belt every year, or pretty regularly in terms of baseball. But the age groups for this Southeastern region baseball tournament, I saw a family, and I saw a cute kid in a baseball uniform, pinstripes, hat, name, number. Mm-hmm. I said, "Oh man," to mom. I said, "Well, it's so cute in his little uniform." He said, "Oh yeah, he is, but they didn't play well today. Made a lot of errors." "Oh, what age group are they?" 6U, 6. And I'm like, if they errors, if they don't make an error, you should be surprised. Not that they made errors. At what age, with everything we're doing now, has it just gotten a little out of control in terms of parents, us over organizing it and overdoing it? They had the T-shirts, they had the car painted with his number, and we're going to the national tournament and all this. For 6-year-olds, the 6-year-old's not going to remember it. What is too young? At least in the pay for play model.
Yeah, I mean, because the parents are paying for it, they have you got to keep the parents happy. So the parents are paying for the uniform, the parents are paying for the travel. Like I said, in other countries, that the parents have no say in it at all. If you were to go to an academy in England, parents aren't even allowed to watch the practice sessions. You know, they're not allowed on the sidelines. And that's what runs the teams, is keeping the parents happy, because if not, they'll go to another club team and put their money there somewhere else. So that's until that changes.
Or start a club of their own.
Yeah, and it's just all money. And the big directors that are making the 6 figures, they're not going to change it because it's going to hurt them. So it has to come from the top of U.S. soccer, but that ain't going to happen.
Yeah. Well, incentivizing the good players and the success of players that come from clubs is something that's kind of unheard of in the U.S. compared to other regions of the countries, of the world, I mean. Because so often you see a guy that signs a professional contract, you'll see that money filter back down into the club that he came from.
Correct.
And there's a net benefit for producing good talent. And it's a nice cycle that helps the sport grow in their country. Whereas here, like you say, you have a parent funneling money into the program, and therefore there's no backward incentive for when they're good.
Don't we see that in basketball? Because basketball, in some instances, being affordable to play,
You do see
a
that.
ball and a goal, and you see the Tracy McGrady's and players going back into the inner cities of America, and the U.S. is number 1 in the world in basketball.
Yeah, but that's done on an individual level. That's oftentimes NBA players' choice of how they want to use their money. Maybe if we had larger success in soccer in the U.S., you may see more of that funneling down, and I guess to a degree you do. But at the same time, I think one of the other arguments to be made about the U.S. is that soccer is, unfortunately, so much lower on the priority poll of, what sport ancestors had played. You're talking about 4th at best when it comes to a national rank, and that's fighting hockey for 4th place, because
Sure.
you've got football, basketball, baseball in whatever order you have, and then it's a fight for 4th place in soccer. But all that said, so many of the top tier athletes in the U.S. will likely go the route of a basketball, football, given the same athletic ability as a soccer player would have, because in the U.S. there's more money at stake.
Yeah, no, listen.
I'm not telling you anything new.
No, it's nothing new, and it's not going to change. I mean, it's not. We can say here and it's just not going to change.
Now, with what happened this summer, and we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, we talked about it on this podcast, from a international perspective / you're now have been here for so long. Did America nail it this summer with expediting the visas, opening up the country? Everybody came over and reminded Americans that, we bicker about a lot of things and we nitpick a lot of things. We got it pretty good over here. And a lot of internationals came over and said, this is awesome. Buc-ee's is amazing. And the different restaurants and different things. How did we, as they talked about, the government talked about, how did we do on hosting 78 Super Bowls in a 40-day period?
And that's what USA is so good at. And I remember 1994 World Cup, and that was the highest attendance in a World Cup since this one in America. And like I said, America, with the security, they can host a World Cup tomorrow. And in the past, these countries that were given the World Cup and building stadiums and then knocking it down, I don't know why they did that. But yeah, USA knows how to put on a show. And again, I thought the World Cup was fantastic. The final was just so disappointing compared to 3.5 years ago between Argentina and France. One of the best soccer games I've witnessed in a World Cup. But overall, the World Cup was fantastic. I just feel money's coming into it, that now they're looking to try and get a bunch more teams. I think 64 teams in the World Cup for 4 years' time. And I think it's 5 host nations in 4 years. Spain, Morocco, I think it's Portugal. I think there's a game in Argentina, Uruguay. It's getting a little out of hand. But maybe Ireland can qualify.
Hey, maybe so.
You didn't like the final, but the goal, the Argentina comeback against England, in particular, the crosser
so many good
into
ones.
the box for the header to put them up. Was that as good as you've ever seen on that header?
It was, but I mean, when they look back, and I think England are going to kick themselves because they sat too deep. They made negative substitutions. They should have won that game.
Oh, absolutely.
And for the coach not to admit it, that's sour. I thought the best game was it Egypt? I can't remember. It was Argentina, Egypt, and it was comeback. Argentina came back.
I think so.
3-2. Maybe it wasn't Egypt, but what a game!
I know the one you're talking about.
Cape Verde as well were fantastic in the World Cup. I thought they were brilliant as well.
I had to go. I think it was Norway and Brazil.
Yeah.
was a really good one. Where Norway's star player, he just completely went off in front of everyone. He became an absolute household name for anybody that didn't already know.
Yeah, no, Norway were my dark horse team. They couldn't win it, but I had France down to win it, and Spain were unbelievable against France in that game, and woof, they played some great soccer.
Do you think Argentina had a little bit of a hangover after the England match? There's some kind of correlation. I'll have to go back and look at the history of it, where a team beats England in the semifinals and lose the final. That has been a recurring theme.
Argentina had, if you look at every game, it was a grind for Argentina. Every game. So, I think tiredness came into it, but they didn't play their true game. They they played dirty in the final, and at the end of the day, the best team won, and Spain were the best team.
Be honest. Did you care for more of the Fox broadcast, or did you watch/listen to Telemundo?
I was in Ireland, so I'm going to shout out. I was listening to RTE Sport Ireland, so different view, but amazing. They did an amazing job.
I forgot about the timeline of when it was going on. You were right. You were over there during all that. But hey, fantastic time. We enjoyed watching it. We enjoyed taking a little bit of international flair hosted here in the United States. All right. Wrapping things up with you with the final segment coming up here on Crusader Talk. Stay with us.
You're listening to Crusader Talk on SuperTalk Hattiesburg 97.3 and SuperTalkHattiesburg.com.
All right, wrapping things up with you here on a Monday as it's Crusader Talk with Coach Barry Farrell, Josh West, myself, Caleb Hamill, Dalton Stanford behind the board for us today. Also, news from this past week. Congratulations to newly named head coach of men's and women's track and field, Janita Brinson, former NAIA two-time, it's not shorter, NAIA national champion back in the long jump when she was at Mobile. Hey, sometimes good things come from that area of Alabama. But we're happy to have her. We look forward to hopefully visiting with her sometime soon on the podcast. But congratulations to her. We look forward to what she brings to the table. Very quick entrance into the coaching landscape for us here at William Carey. But she's been in the coaching ranks before. She comes to us from Eastern Washington University. Name that mascot.
No chance.
Oh, come on. All right, starts with an E. It's the most popular mascot in America.
Still no chance.
Anybody? Bueller. Eagles.
Oh, just the Eagles?
They're just the Eastern Washington Eagles.
Oh, you totally set me up.
Yeah,
totally.
You know the EW, it looks like a bird
okay.
logo?
No, I thought it was going to be the anteaters or something really
fighting
exotic.
okra.
Yeah, I was going all exotic, in my head. You totally got me.
Yeah, somebody the other day was doing like a mascot challenge that their significant other showed them a logo from a D1 school and was like, all right, name that team and mascot. And they're like, oh, that's a new one. It's like some crazy thing, and then it'd be like the Argonauts or things like that.
No, Rebels, Mississippi private schools, Rebels.
Yeah, Rebels, Patriots. We got a ton of Patriots.
Bulldogs.
Then you go into the public school, and everybody's a Wildcat, Tiger, Lion. It's all the Panthers, all the cats. We're a cat-heavy state when it comes to the mascots
yes,
in Mississippi. That or Bulldogs, because you get public school Bulldogs as well.
And colors, we're a heavy maroon and white state.
That's true. I was a Jaguar graduate,
so
I'm in the cat family there. But nevertheless, we digress. All right, final segment, Coach. Let's just kind of talk about the state of athletics at William Carey. I know I didn't tease this coming into the break, but William Carey have had a lot of success when it comes to the SSAC and the NAIA national landscape as well. A post was thrown out there on social media today just highlighting some of the different things in review of last academic year. An overall winning percentage of 72.6%, athletic department GPA of 3.49, 13 SSAC championships, 13 teams ranked in national polls and the final polls for each of their sports, and then 33 All-Americans for William Carey. Not to mention 7 SSAC Player of the Year awards, 6 SSAC Coach of the Year awards, and Athletic Director of the Year in Tracy English.
What were we in the Learfield Directors Cup? 8th?
I believe so. I believe it was 8th.
Another top 10 finish.
Yeah, I think 7 or 8. We were number 1 in the SSAC Life. I think we're just behind us.
Yeah, they were behind us by one. So maybe we were 7. Life was 8 or 8 and 9. One of the two.
I say 8 and 9. I'm going 8.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I'll say 7.
Okay.
all right. Well, your thoughts on and just we
Please give
Carey
it to
on
us.
a national landscape right now. While I look that up, so we can settle our bickering.
Look at he's fast.
Yeah. No, listen, William Carey have in the NAI and NCAA. William Carey is well renowned for athletics all over the country. Lot of success in the conference. A lot of success off the field. Just that national championship is lacking, and that's if you talk to Dr. Burnett, President Burnett, that's what he wants, and I think this is going into his 4th, 5th year now, so there's been no national championships yet. So I think as a program we got to kick on and try and win these national championships. You hear all these accolades, but like I said, just me individually, I'm not. We could win 20 conference championships. I'll swap every single one of them, every single win for a national championship.
I mean, it's kind of like the baseball mantra. They didn't, for the first time in the last 5 years, I want to say they didn't win the SSAC regular season or tournament championship, but they made it to Lewiston in the World Series.
And that was the same with us in 2024. We didn't win the league, but we got to the semifinals. It's all about at the end of the day, when I talk to every single alumni, they're like, they don't say, did you win the league? Did you win? They said, where did you finish at the national championship?
With that said, I want to put you on the spot. Over under 3 teams, 3 programs that have a chance to win a national championship this year. Over under 3.
For Carey?
Yeah. Is it 2 or is it 4 more that have a realistic chance going in on paper of winning a national championship this year?
I feel like your number is set pretty well. Sure you don't want to go on a half, like 2.5?
Okay. 2.5. Over under 2.5.
I would say over 2.5. Realistically, I think softball. Coach
Loaded.
We talk about Coach Alford. To finish off his career, he needs that national championship, in my opinion.
Oh yeah.
And then listen, every year I'm going to back myself, back William Carey, men's soccer. So, realistically, I think over 2.5.
Yeah. Hey, it wasn't after. It was only after Coach Knight was inducted into the Hall of Fame that he made the Fab Four, going as far as Carey's ever gone in the national tournament. So, hey, Carey was 1 win away from playing in the national championship game for baseball. So maybe that's in store for Coach Halford now for him. By the way, it was 8th. That's where Carey was.
Was it?
Life was 9th.
I was wrong.
Yeah, so we were behind, I think it was like Indiana Tech or something. But that does it for today's episode. For Dalton, for Coach Farrell, for Josh, I'm Caleb Hamill saying good night, God bless, and go Satyrs.
A SuperTalk Mississippi media production.